welcome back. Our next two guests don't really need an introduction, and we're super happy to have them here with us today to talk about lessons in mastery. Mario, you're currently playing at Eindhoven. You're a soccer world champion, and you've also, besides your athletic career, started another one in startup investing, whereas Philipp Westermeier, founder of OMR, is probably our own national champion of podcasting. So without further ado, over to you, Philipp.
Thank you, Polly, for giving me the chance to host this, and welcome, Mario. For those of you who don't know, we have been chatting in the past couple of days a little bit on WhatsApp and preparing this conversation. Mario, what brought you to the startup world? How come you're like, come you care about startups?
I think, it was like 2-3 years ago when I got really excited about the startup world, because I've met a few founders in Berlin. I've met a few friends who are in that space, and I think it's really exciting to be in that space.
And were you inspired by US athletes that seem to be doing this for a little longer? I mean, we know that the biggest stars in the NBA, NFL, they also are very closely linked to the startup world.
Yes, I really like the US sports, how they view their athletes, how they think about sports, how they think about athletes in general. And for me, when I see LeBron James, Steph Curry, I think for them it's normal to be in that space, to find different assets off the pitch. And I got inspired by them. What they are doing off the court is very, very exciting and very interesting for me.
It also seems to me like that you have chosen quite a smart path. You're not so much investing directly into startups, but you are now involved with funds, like here with Visionaries, with Polly. Was it like a conscious approach to say, look, I don't know exactly the game. I'm going to learn the game as an LP instead of as a direct investor into a startup?
I think, that was the approach a bit. I mean, for me, it's a completely new space, a new area. I'm really focused on my sports, like almost all the time. So I have to learn fast. I have to get to know a lot of people. And I think what I've done in the past, I've done also a few direct investments. But for me, it's better to have a good team, a good setup to invest in a fund and get to know the people behind it and their vision, and then to learn from them and get to know that space and the startup world and the founders, and just be conscious about the investments I do and how I interact with them and how I get the most out of it.
Like in your day job as a soccer player, is this like a current topic in the locker room, like with your friends? I mean, now you're playing at Eindhoven in the Netherlands, but also when you played at Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund, was that a topic where other players also like care about business that much?
I think it's growing a bit. I think especially the US athletes, and now with social media, you get to know more details about the other sports and what the other athletes are doing. So I think it's growing in Europe. And from my perspective, I can only tell what I've experienced in Munich and Dortmund and now in Eindhoven. So it's very rare that the athletes or soccer players, for example, are really into that business and really into investments and being active in that asset class. I think it's very rare for now, but I think it's growing. I've just read that Erling Haaland did an investment in Hyperice, so I think it's going in the right direction.
Okay, what's the most striking similarities between startup investing and then working on a top performance level in soccer?
That's why it's so exciting for me. I mean, out of all the assets classes I have, real estate, ventures, or insurances, and so on, I think the startups and venture scene is the most interesting part, because you have to work like similar to soccer. You have to work in a team with a coach. You have to build a vision. You have to work day by day on that vision to perform on that level. And I think it's very similar to a startup. You have to make the right decisions at the right moment. You have to enter the market. And it's very, very similar to the topics you have in a group or in a club, for example. For sure, you can't compare it directly, but I think there are a lot of similarities. Yeah.
I would assume that one big similarity is the the way you have to, you have to judge people quite immediately. You have to, investing, you look at a team and then you have to basically make a decision, one or two meetings. Are they worth my money? Do I want to believe in them? How long does it take you to make such a judgment on a soccer player? If you first practice, second practice, how long does it take you to judge somebody, to know what to expect from somebody?
In soccer, for me, it's quite easy because normally it takes 1, 2, 3 training sessions, maybe one game, and then I can see what the person is capable of. So that's normally very I can judge very quickly how good the person is. In business, a bit difficult for me because it's a relatively new space for me. But with my team in the background and making some reference calls and trying to get to know a lot of people and get insightful information. I try to make a good decision in that area also.
How long does it take you to understand how good a coach is in soccer? You've had some of the best coaches in the world: Jürgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Jogi Löw, all these people. How long does it take to discover this?
I was lucky to have a lot of good coaches. The first, let's say 7 years, I've worked 3 years with Jürgen Klopp, 4 years with Pep Guardiola. I had Jogi Löw. I think they have impacted my career the most because I've worked with them the longest period, and they are very different to each other, but very successful. But for me, I think the last 5 years, I had 5 coaches, and so I normally know after let's say 1-2 months if the coach has a similar philosophy, similar idea of how he wants to play, if it fits my playing type, playing style. So it normally doesn't take that long.
But noticeably longer than a player. The player, you said, is maybe playing together once and and with the coach it takes months to understand.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think he's in a different position. He has to convince all the players for a long period to do different kind of things. We normally have let's say 1 to 2 months off season and 10 months season. And in that 10 months, you have to work with the team on different types of different topics, physically, mentally, tactically. And so you have to build up something and build the vision, the philosophy over a long period, plus performing when we have games every 3 days, you have to perform every 3 days and deliver results. And so it's a bit different than just getting to know the teammate. Yeah.
One thing that I also found could be similar is the chemistry in a club compared to the chemistry in a company. In a company, especially young companies, you also have ups and downs, and there's criticism, sometimes public criticism, and failures, and maybe even fuck ups. In soccer, it seems similar. It seems there's all these waves that hit you, and then you can tell that there's some clubs that seem very stable, like a very stable foundation, and that seems to have an impact on the team sometimes, but not all the time. How is that for you?
Yeah, I totally agree. It depends a lot on the club and the different departments. For me as a player, normally we get to know the teammates and the area which is in charge for training and for the games. So the coaching stuff also, we are not really involved in the other parts like the marketing, merchandising, finance topics. So this is more outsourced or not for us as players. But I think the chemistry has to be good. The management has to be good. They have to make the right decisions at the right moment. Now with COVID, it's a totally different situation. How do they cope with these situations? So not only for us as players and as coaches, but in general for the club also. And I think this is very important that the club, the players, the coaches, that everybody has the same understanding and the same vision to go in the right direction to be successful. Yeah.
If you could pick your teammates based on talent and on attitude, would you pick talent 11 times, or would you pick attitude 11 times? What matters the most to shape a good team?
I think, because football is a game and you don't really know what is happening all the time. I would say I would do 70% team spirit and 30% talent. I think you need both factors to be successful for a longer time. And I think both are important, but the chemistry, the team spirit, because we are 11 players on the pitch and you have more players on the bench also, that is way more important than just the talent and the individual performance.
Were there teammates in the past, or like players that you remember that maybe you played against, that really increased their game like to a level that you haven't expected? I mean, sort of like a company that you look at the first moment and then it's like, maybe they do okay, but they're not great. And then all of a sudden you're completely struck by how successful a company is. Does it also happen in sports? Is there like players that you can think of?
Yeah, I would put it that way, because I think one thing is you promote to the first team, you play your first games. When I see Lewandowski, Ilkay Gündogan, or Toni Kroos, for example, I've played with them for a long time, and when I see how long they kept their performance on that level, I think this is even more impressive for me now to stay on that level and be like, let's put it, normally you have 10 to 15 years on that level and you have to stay there. And I think one thing is to come to that point, but the other thing is to keep the performance and stay on that performance and be in shape, like for let's say 15 years, to win titles and be on that on the highest level.
And this is a very, very fragile balance. I mean, it sounds like this could be like easily irritated.
Yeah, it can, for sure. I mean, if you see the Bundesliga, for example, at the moment, I think they have changed already 20 coaches out of 18 clubs. So it can be like it can be happen in a second. Yeah, but you need to have a good team. You need to have a good coach. You need to have a good club. You need to have a good balance for yourself. You may have to make the right decisions, but there are a lot of external factors that can irritate exactly their schedule. Yeah.
Now that we have talked so much about like your view on performance in soccer, what do you look for in a startup founder? If you like meet the team directly, like what do you look for in this space?
I think it's a bit similar to what I think is important for me, because I think the drive and the willingness and the spark in the eyes to really develop something, to have an impact on something or create a solution. I think this is very important, and then to be eager, to be willing to go the long way, to stay on that course for a long time, even if you have ups and downs. And I think this is similar to athletes with their ups and downs. It's very important for founders and for their teams also.
After your career, at some point, are you already thinking about like business life like this? I mean, is this also like a first step into an area that could be at some point be a new work life for you?
Could be, but I haven't put much thought into it. I just want to get to know that space, the venture area, to get to know a few people, to understand their philosophy, their failures they had. Yeah, I think it's an interesting space, and I haven't put too much thought in it because I want to focus on my sports at the moment, to enjoy the next years. Because for me, the athlete, well, to be an athlete is like very limited to let's say 35, 36.
Venture capital is considered not the first asset class to turn to. It can be very lucrative and can have high returns, but usually the word of mouth is that it's something that you add it to like to other investments. Is that same for you? Is it like a smaller position, or do you like put it more?
For me, it's a smaller position. Also, all of the other assets, if you put it, it's a smaller percentage of what I do normally in the finance area. So all the other assets, they have a bigger position. If you see the whole base of it, so it's a smaller position. And I just entered that space like 2-3 years ago. Before it was more like real estate, the portfolio, stock market, these kind of things. Yeah.
And any expectation? I mean, do you say, okay, look, Polly, I gave you my money. Now I'm expecting like a 4x or 5x or 2x
in 6 months. Yeah. No, I haven't done it yet, but it's a good thing. Maybe I put some pressure on Polly now. He has 15 years. Like for me as an athlete, he has 15 years to make it work. Yeah.
Okay. How does somebody gain your trust? I mean, we've talked about this a couple of minutes ago, but it's I think it seems to be one of the most important decisions that you can make, like who to trust. Who do I trust as my manager, as my money manager, as my closest team? I imagine there's so many people that want to like be on your team, want to work for you, want to be a consultant, want to be a manager. How do you make a decision on that?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I can speak from my experiences because when I was very young, I was 17, 18, and my father took care in the early stage of my career and tried to find the right people with network to get to know the good ones. Let me put it that way. And then since I'm 25, 26, I try to be more active in that and try to make my own judgment. But I think it's very difficult to find the right people and the right manager for all these kind of areas to set up your own agenda.
What are your favorite startups right now? I mean, you look at the space, and I'm sure you follow like who's growing and who who's coming on as a startup. Any company that you like, especially because of the product, or maybe because of the perspective of the team? Anything that sticks with you?
Yeah, for me, most interesting is the area of performance recovery, these kind of things, and I'm happy about the investment in Veo I did, because the founder is German. He lives in LA. They have an office in Cologne, and they have a smart blender for like healthy nutrition aspects and for the daily life. So this is very interesting compared with an app and analytics and these kind of things. And it's a good synergy because I'm an athlete and they try to grow this kind of healthy nutrition, and it's a good fit. Yeah.
And where did you get your insight? I mean, you've been like working practically working as a soccer player from like 17 years old. So there's very little room for you to really study another game and learn another trade. Where did you learn like your money managing skills? Is it just like from learning from other people that work with your money, or do you like read books, take part in university classes? What do you do?
Normally I try to have some time in the off season for that. I travel to normally Los Angeles or Dubai. I have a few friends and founders there, speak to them, but mostly I try to speak to the people, get to know them, understand their philosophy and what they have done right, what they have done wrong. To learn from their experience. On the other hand, I have my family office who takes care of the finances and the law and taxes areas, and I try to learn from them a lot. And on the other hand, I try to read some books, to consume some podcasts or newsletter or YouTube videos. That's how I normally gain information and ideas. And I have also listened to your podcast a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So now you know.
Yeah, we have to finish the conversation here. It doesn't get any better for me. And sometimes you notice that there's gorillas. All of a sudden, gorillas is like worth billions. So do you text Polly and ask, Polly, why are we not investing in gorillas?
I will do that in the near future to put the pressure on him. I think it's a good idea. But yeah. And I've used the gorillas also, so this is interesting, because if I use it also, and it's very authentic then. But I guess this is also what I have to do in the future with Polly. Yeah.
And I mean, imagine if I was Mario Götze for a couple of days as an investor. I mean, you have this magic power when you call like a founder in Germany at least, and tell them, look, this is Mario Götze, can I invest? Most of the founders, they probably let you invest. I mean, this is a magic power. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that, but maybe I should use that more often. But yeah, I think maybe it's one aspect when I invest. So what can I, as Mario Götze, give them like short-term, mid-term, or long-term to create an added value for them? So this is also interesting for the company and for me also. But maybe I should use that magic in the future a bit more.
I mean, in the US, I think the model is, as an athlete, you go into the fund, and then, I mean, as you did with Visionaries, and then you observe the performance and you look at the startups that the fund managers picked, and then you see over the time, you see which ones are really like very successful, which ones grow a lot bigger, and then you like work with them directly. is that also like an idea that you have, like looking at like who does well in the Visionaries Fund, and then as soon as you see, okay, there's like they can't fail, they're too big to fail now.
Big to fail.
Now I can work with them directly. Is that like your thinking?
Yeah, I think this is also an opportunity, which I'm aware of, and I have done it, I think, twice in the past, exactly that way. But for me, I think it's more important to be early stage, like let's say pre-seed or Series A, instead of waiting until they are very big, because I think then you are in a different situation, and maybe then we have to talk about maybe being a marketing advisor or something like this to help to grow the brand or whatever. But yeah, I think there are different phases, and I try to use the opportunity which fits me and my situation the best.
Mario, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
It was great talking to you. Thank you for giving me the chance to host this here, Sebastian. And back to you guys.